I love Simpsons references in case you guys haven't been able to tell. From the Andrew Yang talking about the Ford Party. I reference Kang and Kodos. To the Texas school district shutting down the Arabic letter In God We Trust because they only have to have one sign. They employed the no homers rule. It says no homers. Plural. They can have one. Let's start off tonight. It is the anniversary of 9/11. Let's go over what happened. We're going to go to the Miller Center. Fucking shit. I don't even have a browser up yet. I was ill prepared for tonight's show. Other than the fact that I did, you know, a countdown in which my logo gets hit by a plane. I did prepare in that sense. On September 11th, 2001, 2,977 people were killed in the deadliest terror attacks in American history. You can see the flat pass of the hijacked planes here. We're gonna see some embedded video as we scroll through here. This is the timeline of what happened. 5:45 a.m. Mohammed Atta and Abdul Aziz Al-Omari, two of the intended hijackers, passed through security at the Portland International Jetport in Maine. They board a commuter flight to Boston Logan International Airport. They then board American Airlines Flight 11. At 7:59 a.m., Flight 11 takes off from Boston, headed towards Los Angeles, California. There are 76 passengers, 5 hijackers on board. At 8:15 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 takes off from Boston, also headed to L.A. There are 51 passengers and 5 hijackers. 8:19 a.m., a flight attendant on Flight 11, Betty Ann Ong, alerts ground personnel that a hijacking is underway and that the cockpit is unreachable. 8:20, American Airlines Flight 77 takes off from Dulles outside of Washington, D.C., headed for Los Angeles. There are 53 passengers, 5 hijackers on board. At 8:24 a.m., Mohammed Atta, a hijacker on Flight 11, unintentionally alerts air controllers in Boston to the attack. He meant to press the button that allowed him to talk to the passengers on his flight.
Is that American 11 trying to call?
Buddy, we have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We're heading to the airport.
And who's trying to call me here? American 11, are you trying to call?
Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move.
So he realizes that he contacted air traffic control and then says everything is okay. So let's go back. This is Mohammed Atta accidentally calling the air traffic controllers instead of talking to the planes on the internal speaker.
Call.
Buddy, we have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We're heading to the airport.
And who's trying to call me here? American 11, are you trying to call?
Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll injure yourself and the airplane. Let's stay quiet.
That's good. I thought you were referencing for the movie.
The classic hijacker butt dial. Oh God, voodoo. I mean, knowing what we know now, yeah, why wouldn't you shoot the planes down? But also, like, I believe there was we might get clarity on that here as we go through the materials. I believe they attempted to shoot the planes down and didn't know whether it was a drill or real life. Like, that audio exists of someone saying, like, is this a drill? Or, like, is this real? What's going on? 8:37 a.m. after hearing the broadcast from Atta on Flight 11, Boston Air Traffic Control alerts the U.S. Air Force Northeast Defense Sector, who then mobilized the Air National Guard to follow the plane. At 8:42 a.m., United Flight 93 takes off from Newark, New Jersey after a delay due to routine traffic. It was headed for San Francisco. There were 33 passengers and 4 hijackers on board. At 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashes into the World Trade Center's North Tower. All passengers aboard are instantly killed, and employees of the World Trade Center are trapped above the 91st floor. At 9:03 a.m., Flight 175 crashes into World Trade Center's South Tower. All passengers aboard are killed instantly, and so are an unknown number of people in the tower. Here is the, of course you guys know this, content warning. This is bystander video. You can see the North Tower has already been hit, and I do believe we're getting ready to see the South Tower get hit live. I'm sorry, Star Craving. I struggle with the fact that I'm, a comedian doing a show with a troll head, and also I want to inform people. And that I want to do a substantive news show. Balancing those two things together is kind of hard. I also find it funny, like the clips that I clip for YouTube are more on the jovial side, making jokey jokes about dumb fuck right-wingers. But then, like, you tune into the show, and the vast majority of it is me just hitting you with, like, shitty-ass news. Merkin, good evening.
Ce matin, quand j'étais sur le bord de l'eau, je pensais justement je veux dire, quelqu'un qui voulait faire un attentat, la Statue de la Liberté serait un symbole, tu sais, à détruire.
I'm preparing you. I believe we're getting ready to see the South Tower get hit in this video. We're probably going to see them react.
Ça a l'air d'un attentat, on ne sait pas, mais...
Yeah, see, World Trade Center 2 plane impact and immediate aftermath. So this is as up close and personal as you can get with this shit. Still haven't made Saudi Arabia take responsibility. And we never will. We couldn't watch it in my school because we didn't have access to any kind of outside television source. Like, we had TVs in all of our classrooms, but we were not there wasn't even an antenna. There wasn't a way to watch local news. We were actually listening to the radio station that I worked for at the time. This was my senior year of high school, so we were listening to the radio station I worked for, and I wanted to leave the school and go to the radio station. Like, I didn't want to be there. So my first class of the day was a broadcasting class. We did a morning news show, and I was one of the hosts, producers, blah, blah. I did fucking everything, whatever position. And my second class was speech and drama or theater or whatever that class was. I get to that classroom, it's like 9:15 or whatever, maybe 8:55. Well, I can't remember how the days are broke up. And that's the teacher informs us that one tower has been hit. And I remember thinking, my first thought was, oh, it's just, an accident. A plane has accidentally hit a tower. And then, uh-oh. That fucking wild. So here we go. We're going to go back about 30 seconds here. This is the impact of the second plane. The onlookers, they're probably thinking the same thing I was thinking as a high schooler. that it was an accident, that a plane has just accidentally hit the World Trade Center. But when you see the second plane hit, when you hear a second plane hit, you go, well, that's no accident. And I mean, they're right there. They're just a few blocks away.
Où ça?
Entre les deux tours, là.
Ah ouais. Sac. As-tu vu ça? On rêve-tu ou quoi?
I'm amazed their reaction was that fucking calm. I mean, I'm not good with spatial distance or something. Like, they're within like 10 blocks of the World Trade Center. That could be it too. They could just be in like complete fucking shock as to what they just witnessed. I would be.
No, no accident.
That was no accident. That's I'm pretty sure that was everybody's thought. One plane hits, it's an accident. You know, something's gone haywire with navigation or something. Two planes, it's an attack. I had one teacher that made us do work, and that was my, I don't remember if it was geometry or it was probably like some kind of advanced class, like calculus or something, because I was a senior.
Ça tombe pas.
I don't remember exactly which class it was. Oh, we're gonna talk about that, Mergen. Don't worry. It is probably right around this time that Bush is being told. Because it's after the second plane hits.
Ben écoute, c'est quelque chose.
So it is probably within 2 or 3 minutes of us seeing the second plane hit. That famous video of a guy leaning in and telling Bush about the attack. Because that's what he's being told. He's being told about the second tower. Like, he was aware of the first tower being hit before he did the appearance.
Mais où? À gauche, à droite? Non, mais...
Just disbelief.
Mais ils sont partis d'en haut, quoi? Comment tu sais pour savoir que c'est des gens?
Tu le vois, c'est comme ça qu'ils font. La tête, les bras, les jambes. Ça descend un petit peu plus vite que les feuilles de papier.
That is the aftermath of the second plane hitting. Okay, that was 9:03. Flight 175 crashes into the World Trade Center South Tower. 9:05. President George W. Bush in an elementary school classroom in Florida is informed about the hit on the second tower. So they're like You see him reading My Pet Goat. That's the famous picture. This isn't the famous picture, but you know the picture I'm talking about. Chief of Staff Andrew Card whispers the chilling news into the president's ear. Bush later wrote about his response. I made the decision not to jump up immediately and leave the classroom. I didn't want to rattle the kids. I wanted to project a sense of calm. I had been in enough crises to know that the first thing the leader has to do is to project calm. I agree with him. I agree with him on that, and I'm not going to hold, like, who the fuck can say how you're going to react to news? Like, processing that kind of news is incredibly difficult. So I don't want to hold it against him, but I feel like the right thing to do would have been like, hey kids, I've got some presidential business to do. I need to leave you guys now. Have a great day. And get up right then and there. Because it's like 7 minutes he sits there, if I'm not mistaken. It was 15 minutes. But once again, this is like fucking processing that. My God, like it's hard. There are enough reasons to hate Bush and to criticize him about that you don't have to criticize him of like sitting there and fucking understanding like the nation's under attack and trying to take that in the middle of a photo op. So that of all the things to criticize him about, that one is not one that I really want to focus on. 9:28 a.m. hijackers attack on Flight 93. 9:37 a.m. Flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon. All passengers aboard are instantly killed, and so are 125 civilian and military personnel in the building. 9:45 a.m. U.S. airspace is shut down under Operation Yellow Ribbon. All civilian aircraft are ordered to land at the nearest airport. 9:55 a.m. Air Force One with President George W. Bush aboard takes off from Florida. 9:57 passengers aboard Flight 93 begin to run up toward the cockpit. Jara, the pilot, begins to roll the plane back and forth in an attempt to destabilize the revolt. 9:59 a.m. the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. You're seeing still photos of it. 10:02 a.m. Flight 93 plows into an empty field in Shanksville. Although its ultimate target is unknown, it was likely headed for either the White House or the U.S. Capitol. 10:18 a.m. President Bush authorizes any non-grounded planes to be shot down. At that time, all 4 hijacked planes had already crashed, but the president's team was operating under the impression that Flight 93 was still in the air. 10:18 authorizes any non-grounded planes to be shot down. 10:28 a.m. the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. 10:53 a.m. the Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld orders the U.S. military to move to a higher state of alert, going to DEFCON 3. Now this morning, I saw somebody bring up the Pentagon on September 10th came out and held a press conference that they had lost trillions of dollars. To use that as evidence that something nefarious happened on 9/11 is a complete misnomer, because the Pentagon has held that press conference at least 7 times in my lifetime. So the Pentagon coming out and saying they lost trillions of dollars is not like something that doesn't happen often. So I just like that you got to have more conviction. Look, what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Not what I thought my shirt said, actually. I thought it said something else. 11:45 a.m. Air Force One lands at Bakersdale Air Force Base near Shreveport, Louisiana. At 12:15, airspace in the United States is completely free of all commercial and private flights. At 1:30, Air Force One leaves Barksdale. I'm sorry, I called it Bakersdale. At 2:30, Rudy Giuliani, the mayor of New York City, visits the fallen Twin Towers of the World Trade Center at what becomes known as Ground Zero. At 3 o'clock, Air Force One lands at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, and President Bush is immediately taken to a secure bunker that is capable of withstanding a nuclear attack. At 4:30 p.m., Air Force One leaves Offutt and heads back towards Andrews Air Force Base near D.C. At 5:30, Building 7 of the World Trade Center collapses. Now, a lot of people want to point to this as no plane hit this building, and I did. That's one of the things that I need to bring up is that I used to be a 9/11 truther. I thought it was an inside job. The reason why World Trade Center 7 collapsed was because it was pelted by debris from the other two buildings and was on fire for most of the day. 5:30 p.m. it collapsed after being on fire for most of the day and pelted with debris. At 8:30, President Bush addresses the nation. Although to many Americans 9/11 seemed like a random act of terror, the roots of the event had been developing for years. A combination of factors that coalesced in the late 1990s led to the catastrophic event. These factors included regional conditions in the Middle East that motivated the perpetrators, as well as intelligence lapses and failures that left the United States vulnerable. Osama bin Laden was relatively unknown in the United States before 9/11. Ooh, that's kind of not true. That's totally not true. That's oof. Not only is that not true, Miller Center, this piece has been good up until this point, but Miller Center, you dropped the ball here, because not only was bin Laden known to the United States, Bush had received an intelligence briefing within a month of 9/11 that bin Laden was determined to attack in the United States using planes. Even as he was a massive... Oh, okay. I misread that. I misread that. It says Osama bin Laden was relatively unknown in the United States. Not to the United States. I read it as to the United States. The United States intelligence community knew exactly who Osama bin Laden was because they had the receipts from arming him and training him. Even as he was amassing popularity, followers, and fame in the Middle East during the 1990s and 1988, he was one of the founders of Al-Qaeda, a militant Islamic terrorist organization that organized and carried out the 9/11 attacks. Bin Laden called for indiscriminate killings of all Americans who, he claimed, were the worst thieves in the world today. It was the perfect historical moment for that rallying cry. Now, one of the things that he was upset about was U.S. military bases being on what they called Holy Land. So, U.S. propaganda might leave that fact out. Throughout the 20th century, a wave of secular nationalist revolutions swept through the Middle East, taking root in Egypt, Libya, Iraq, Yemen, and other countries. While these movements were awash in promising ideology, the new regimes quickly became autocratic and suppressed dissent. Their critics turned to violent revolution to express their dissatisfaction with these secular governments. At the same time, social malaise, especially among young men who were struggling to find decent jobs and start their own families in corrupt oil states, provided easy targets for radicalization. Bin Laden's message that America was the head of the snake and the root of all society's problems resonated well with the discontent. By the mid-1990s, bin Laden was the head of Al-Qaeda, a multifaceted and highly developed terrorist network carrying out attack after attack on Americans in the Middle East. It was a new type of terrorism to which the U.S. intelligence agencies struggled to adapt. Much of the intelligence community had not even imagined the specific type of hijacking and terrorism carried out on 9/11. True, not true. They knew about the plan to use airplanes. Were they completely disorganized? Sure. Did they know about the plan to use airplanes? Yes. They were preparing for threats such as the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center and the bombing in 2000 of the USS Cole. Much of the intelligence community's focus was on reactive law enforcement activity rather than proactive countering of terrorism. A telling quote from the 9/11 Commission report focuses on the lack of a proactive response. The process was meant by its nature to mark for the public as the events finished, case solved, justice done. It was not designed to ask if the events might be harbingers of worse to come, nor did it allow for aggregating and analyzing facts to see if they could provide clues to terrorist tactics more generally, methods of entry and finance, and mode of operation inside the United States. Bin Laden had amassed substantial power due to conditions in the Middle East, as well as his charismatic leadership and being part of the Saudi royal family. The U.S. intelligence community was underprepared for a 9/11 style attack. In the aftermath of 9/11, these two factors continue to affect U.S. policy in the Middle East, particularly in Iraq. So the only thing I'm leaving off is like the invasion of Iraq here in this piece. But if you guys want to read this, it doesn't exactly go into everything. But it was a pretty good overview of the events of that day. And that footage was excellent. Now, would you like to hear what Alex Jones had to say on September 12th? This should be interesting, right?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sorry. I did not introduce this correctly. This is Alex Jones on July 25th, 2001. This is Alex Jones 2 months before 9/11. Now, why am I bringing this up? 9/11 was the event that catapulted Alex Jones into national cult status, I do believe. 9/11 is the reason why I know who Alex Jones is, or knew who Alex Jones was in the 2000s. 9/11 was the reason why Alex Jones is who he is today. And it's because he said something 2 months before 9/11 that kind of makes it sound like he predicted 9/11.
You could join us today for this Wednesday, July 25th, 2001 broadcast. Tyranny is enveloping the globe, and the United States is a shining jewel the globalists want to bring down, and they will use terrorism as the pretext to get it done. So that's coming up in the second half of the show. Very important information. I'm going to put the call out that you call the White House and tell them, look, we've seen the news stories that you've wanted to blow things up, that you have blown things up, and that you're saying that 4 million of us are going to die and we need martial law and the Associated Press. At one of your little drills you had, and that we're aware of who the terrorists are if you pull this. This can stop this Hitlerian Reichstag event. I want to put the toll-free number up for Congress. And I won't want you to believe Alex Jones. I want you to go get these news stories off my website. I want you to call these major newspapers. I want you to find out these statements were true by the White House about preparing for martial law.
He looks so young, doesn't he?
Let them know that if there is any terrorism, we know who to blame. The point is, if any terrorism comes, it's from this government.
Alex Jones is predicting 50 of the last 0 false flags.
CIA asset in the 80s running the Mujahideen war, and whose family builds all the military bases over in Saudi Arabia right now and sits on the board of Iridium Satellite. He's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system.
Damn. Now he's kind of got me going now. He called it on the Saudis, too. Oof.
I want the White House numbers up there now. A big part of this solution, after you research all the government terrorism and check out what I'm saying is true, call the White House and tell them, we know the government's planning terrorism. We know Oklahoma City and World Trade Center was terrorism. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners, Baltimore Sun. If you do it, we're going to blame you because we know who's up to it. Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And you could save the planet. I'm calling it Operation Expose the Government Terror.
Damn. Let's see how he runs with it on the day after 9/11. Oh, fucking shit. Again? Again, this has been happening to me. Yet I come over here and there's the tweet. What the hell? How is that possible? How is that possible? I don't get it. Here is Alex Jones on September 12th.
Israel calls the Palestinians goyim or cattle or dogs or subhuman. They keep them on concentration camps. I got video of them taking Palestinian women's tomatoes they grow and breaking their water containers and stealing. That's why you have this crap. And our children are going to die. We're going to get nuked because of this. Iran.
Wait a minute. He was correctly calling out the Saudis 2 months before 9/11, and then all of a sudden it's the Jews did it after it happens? What the fuck? But he's, based that he's calling out the Israeli apartheid state, but he's also blaming Israel for something they didn't do in this case.
Israel calls the Palestinians goyim or cattle or dogs or subhuman. They keep them on concentration camps. I got video of them taking Palestinian women's tomatoes they grow and breaking their water containers and stealing. That's why you have this crap. And our children are going to die. We're going to get nuked because of this. Iran's got the nukes now. Syria. We're going to have nuclear war because Israel likes to go around bombing everybody. I'm sorry.
Wait. Syria is not a nuclear power, and neither is Iran. Just want to make that clear. Syria is not a nuclear power, and neither is Iran.
Just the facts.
But just the facts.
And Israel absolutely is beside itself with joy right now. They are talking about how they're going to blow everything up, how they're going to attack everybody, and guess who's going to get...
Well, that's something. This is an article from a few years ago, but I thought it was apropos of today. When researchers trolled conspiracy theorists with random false info, they bought it every time. According to a February 2015 study, conspiracy theorists are so gullible, they completely lack the ability to know when they're being purposefully duped. Looking at the social media habits of people who subscribe to conspiracy theories regarding chemtrails, 9/11 trutherism, reptilians, and the Illuminati, and boy, dead state, wait till you see what's coming in the next decade. Holy shit. A team of Italian and American researchers found that these people rarely engage with social media pages that challenge their views, therefore encapsulating themselves in a self-affirming bubble of misinformation. Social media, primarily Facebook, proved to be the flashpoint of this phenomenon. Now I want to say this is from September 11th of 2016. Okay, we're getting into the heart. I thought it was from 2015. So I thought this was eerily prescient of what was getting ready to happen. They're examining the social media habits of 1.2 million Facebook users. The researchers found that almost 92% of those who engage with Italian conspiracy theory pages get their information primarily from these pages, with almost zero counterbalance from more mainstream fact-based sources. The study also found that posts from conspiracy pages get unusually high engagement rates on Facebook in the form of likes and shares. The researchers then tested the strength of the conspiracy theorists' biases by posting troll information, sarcastic comments, parodying anti-science views on Facebook. The farcical posts the researchers used were blatantly obvious, like the undisclosed news that infinite energy has been finally discovered, or that a new lamp made of acinides, plutonium and uranium, might solve problems of energy gathering with less impact on the environment, or that chemical analysis has revealed that chemtrails contain sildenafil citratium, the active ingredient of Viagra, a whopping 78%, and I fucked those words up. A whopping 78% of those who liked the 4,709 troll posts were people who were regular followers of conspiracy Facebook pages and outlets. Additionally, 81% of those who commented on the troll posts had similar social media habits. Once again, I was a 9/11 truther. It wasn't until I went back to college, had to take a class on practical reasoning and apply practical reasoning to my conspiracy theories that I dumped my 9/11 trutherism. Let's talk about some 9/11 conspiracy theories. Here's a nice little neat video that's going to knock down a few of the most common ones.
Just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing
She even knew my name. She said, Justin. This is from the Joe channel on YouTube.
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
As we're sure you already know, some interesting theories exist around what happened on September 11th, 2001. So here are the 5 most common conspiracy theories.
He's a British guy, so you know you can trust him. Those bean eaters are honest.
Number 1. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
It's a freaking noodle. Your argument is invalid. Get over it. Find a job.
This is the most common conspiracy theory. So much so that it's essentially become a meme these days. And like a lot of memes, it's nonsense. No. Jet fuel cannot melt steel beams. Jet fuel burns up to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, while steel melts at around 2500 degrees. However, steel does begin to lose strength at around 600 degrees Fahrenheit, and with the weight above the impact point on the North Tower similar to that of the Titanic, the weakened steel simply could not hold, and the tower collapsed. Number 2. Controlled explosions. When the towers collapsed, many commented that the destruction looked similar to that of a controlled demolition. This added fuel to many conspiracy theories. However, modelling has proven this inaccurate.
Added jet fuel to many conspiracy theories.
Dr. Frank Greening showed that with the way the fuel spread on impact, and with the weight transfer from the building above the impact site, the building would indeed fall almost entirely vertically. Number 3. The World Trade Center 7 collapse was an inside job. Alongside the North and South Tower, WTC-7 was also destroyed on 9/11. It took around 7 hours for the building to collapse. However, the National Institute of Standards and Technology has supported the theory that WTC-7 was more damaged by falling debris than previously estimated. WTC-7 may have withstood the debris or the fire, but both factors, combined with the unusual design, brought down the...
So you can see, we go back here,
was more damaged by falling debris than previously estimated. WTC-7...
That is the debris that fell on top of that building, which is over here somewhere.
May have withstood the debris,
maybe over here,
or the fire,
a little more to the
both
left.
Factors, combined with the unusual design, brought down the building. Number 4. The Pentagon was hit by a missile. Despite dozens of witnesses who watched a plane fly into the side of the Pentagon, many conspiracy theorists believe it was instead a missile that caused the damage. When the plane hit the Pentagon's exterior wall, it created a hole approximately 75 feet wide. So why wasn't the hole 125 feet wide, the same as the plane's wingspan? The answer is actually pretty simple. One wing hit the ground on approach, and the second was sheared off by the force of the impact, leaving just the fuselage to cause damage. Number 5. Flight United 93 was shot down.
I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know what to say. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you.
The 4th and final plane to be hijacked was believed to be targeting Washington, D.C. Instead, it crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. After the plane was hijacked, the crew and passengers staged a revolt, either forcing the plane into the ground themselves or forcing the hijackers to do so. But some believe the flight was instead shot down by the US military. This conspiracy theory is actually born...
Why wouldn't they tell us if they shot it down?
The order was apparently given by Vice President Dick Cheney for the plane to be shot down. However, the scrambled jets never made it in time. And we know the plane wasn't shot down because the scrambled jets weren't armed, and instead actually planned to ram the plane. But before they got the chance to do so, the passengers took matters into their own hands. I think an act of heroism just took place on that plane, Cheney said. There are many many more 9/11 conspiracy theories out there, all of which are completely ridiculous and easily
Yep.
But after 20 years,
Clowns.
it's unlikely that some people will ever accept the truth.